Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us at the MarketSite studio, we have Tom Bruni, Senior Writer with Stocktwits, and we're going to take a look at retail trading trends as we have a new generation of traders and investors who have not been through a prolonged economic downturn or have experienced the volatility that we're seeing in the market. Tom, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks for having me.
And that's really what's so interesting right now. We've been through almost 13, 14 years where the market only went one way, from up and to the right. Now we have a generation of traders out there that this is their first macroeconomic downturn and higher interest rates and inflation and so forth. What are you seeing in terms of the data and how investors are approaching the market?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I remember as an analyst in my past role, a lot of the talk pre-COVID was about how no investor on Wall Street or a retail investor had seen a prolonged rising rate environment for the last 30 years. Interest rates around the globe have been going down. And now in the last 2 years or so, we've seen that completely reverse. And now you've got the Fed and central banks around the globe raising rates, and that's creating a much different market environment. And so from that perspective, retail investors who just joined the market have never seen anything like this. The strategies that worked throughout 2020 and 2021 are not working today. And so they're using platforms like Stocktwits to find communities and get the experience of other investors who may have seen this or studied history a little bit more to understand, how do we approach this?
Yeah. Well, when you take a look at the data, are you seeing a downtick in terms of app usage? Are there certain indexes or ETFs that they're flocking to during this time?
Yeah, so on our platform, we're seeing a big uptick in usage of the broad-based ETFs like SPY, QQQ, as people share kind of like their macro views on the market as opposed to individual stocks. Every other headline's about inflation, the Fed this, globally what's happening, and so there's a much bigger focus on those types of topics as opposed to what's happening with individual companies.
How are the more experienced traders and investors approaching this? Are they open to sharing their experience and collaborating with newer traders?
Yeah, exactly, and that's the big positive of finding a community, is being able to tap into that. Investors in general are looking to help each other. You can't be an expert in everything, and so it's really important to find people that are sharing their aspect of knowledge and their approach to markets so that everyone can get better together. Kind of iron sharpens iron.
So when you think about Stocktwits and what you're providing traders and investors specifically, tell me about a couple of the newsletters and some of the trends that you can discern by looking at the different tabs on the platform.
Yeah, so we have two main newsletters, the Daily Rip and the Light Paper. The Light Paper focuses on crypto news and it's more data focused, but the Daily Rip is our most popular one. It's got over 1 million subscribers, open rate above 35%, so really good open rate, really good engagement. And the focus there is to recap the market in about 5 minutes or less. The goal is, if you read that, you're going to get an understanding for the things that moved markets that day and provide that broader context that maybe retail investors don't get from other sources, explaining how inflation is advancing, how individual companies are acting in that environment, and just kind of providing that important context so that people can make proper decisions for their own portfolios.
Yeah, and I noticed in the notes that Stocktwit users are going to the tabs where they can see what's moving and where the money flow is, because the money, while there's a lot of cash on the sidelines, it does have to go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Money always needs to find a home, and it's going to flow where it's treated best. And so the discoverability on the Stocktwits platform is really great, because if you see a ticker or an area of the market continually to show up on our active streams, which means people are talking about it, prices are moving, that's a good indication that something's going on there. And a lot of people, myself included, use that as an opportunity to discover trends that they may not have otherwise seen.
Are you looking to expand more into multimedia content, whether it's audio or video?
Yeah, of course. So Stocktwits is a global social media platform on our own, but we understand it's important to meet people where they are, and a lot of people are on TikTok, are on Instagram, are on these other platforms. So we're doing what we can to repurpose our content, get it out on those platforms, and hopefully bring them into the Stocktwits ecosystem and the community. And on top of that, we're looking to expand into different verticals as well. So there are a lot of communities on the Stocktwits platform that are already thriving. So we want to do more in terms of the content we're producing for those communities to really empower those investors. A good example is the small and micro cap space that doesn't get a lot of attention from Wall Street, and we find that retail traders really focus on those where they can create a long-term edge for themselves.
All right, Tom, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.